For the tribes living in the rainforest, these fires are indicative of a larger crisis, one that threatens their very survival. CNN's Issa Suarez reports with exclusive footage shot by filmmaker Apu Gomez.
For as long as anyone can remember, the Wayapi tribe have been the stewards of these waters and the land that caresses it. In return, the Amazon rainforest has given back with every drop, and seeds safeguarding their livelihood, tradition, and ultimately their survival.
Nós aqui moramos dentro da pulmão da Amazônia, né? Porque essa Amazônia traz saúde para a gente, né? Saúde para o mundo, assim quer dizer. Essa ar é no mundo, né? Ar poluído traz muito problema para a gente. Problema de saúde, tristeza. Por isso que nós preocupamos com mudança de climática, né? Quer dizer, né? Essa é que nossa preocupação, nós exigimos no Wayapi.
But the isolated Wayapi, 1,500 strong across 92 villages in Amapá State, say they've never felt so under threat as they do today. And it seems not even the demarcation set by Brazil's 1988 constitution can protect them. That is now perilously close, with President Jair Bolsonaro calling for protected and demarcated sections of the Amazon to be opened up to roads, ranching, farming and mining, arguing this demarcated area is too large for the indigenous and is hindering development. On the ground, the Wayapi tell us they have already begun to feel the impact of his words and policies.
Esse governo está massacrando o nosso direito e o nosso povo indígena.
With garimpeiros, wildcat miners, loggers and ranchers invading and assaulting their land.
Já estão iniciando, matando os povos indígenas e nós não queremos nenhuma gota de sangue mais.
Audio provided to Brazilian journalists just after their chief was killed on July 22nd shows their urgency for action.
A facada, várias furadas no corpo dele e do pênis dele e mataram muito feio.
But they say the savagery didn't stop there.
Entra numa casa indígena, vai agredindo a crianças, agredindo mulheres.
They may be shaken, but the Wayapi are not running scared. Instead, in silence, they ward off evil spirits and ready for battle. Their fight has taken them all the way to the United Nations.
Com a eleição de Jair Bolsonaro como presidente do Brasil, aumenta a ameaça a nossos direitos e a nossos territórios. Não aceitamos a mineria em nossas terras. Ele não respeita nossa cultura, nosso modo de viver e nossos bosques. Estamos preocupados.
The Brazilian government says there was no credible evidence that the chief was murdered, with the Minister of the Environment adding that the chief drank too much and fell into the river. But according to Amazon Watch, there have been at least 14 cases of invasions and assaults into indigenous territories by land grabbers, loggers and miners, who have left their dark stain on the indigenous people and on the world's greatest rainforest, with fires scorching the land at an unseen rate. The Wayapi have luckily been safe from the fire, but remain threatened by Bolsonaro's environmental policies. The yellow marks here show the scale of deforestation, which has increased more than 60% in June compared to last year. That's over 750 square miles of lost land. Put it simply, that's 1.5 soccer fields being destroyed every minute of every day. So while the Waiapi wait for the world to act, life goes on here. 59-year-old Chief Jariati goes to school to learn Portuguese.
Eu quero aprender como é que habita no Caraíba. Eu falo assim, só eu potente. Como é que habita? Eu quero saber como é que fala Caraíba. Porque eu quero aprender para conversar com branco na forma.
Teaching the next generation.
Eu quero que minha filha, como eu também, cacica, esse luta da terra, da nossa terra, isso é muito importante para mim, continua sendo.
Traditions that have protected their ancient lands. Actions that defend the very air that we breathe. Isa Suarez, CNN.
Well, CNN reached out to the Brazilian president's press office about the government's policies in the region and was told the president would make no comments, or his office. CNN also reached out to the Ministry of the Environment and Brazil's National Indigenous Affairs Agency, and they did not reply to our request for comment, and the Indigenous Affairs Agency redirected us to the president and ministry's press office. Well, Daniel Aristizabal is with the Amazon Conservation Team. He works extensively with tribes in the region. He joins us via Skype from Bogota, Colombia. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for your time.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Daniel. So, obviously, we just heard about the Waiapi tribe there. Paint a bigger picture for us. How many tribes rely on the Amazon rainforest? How many people are we talking about that live there?
Well, there's roughly from 300 to 400 indigenous tribes living in the Amazon, depends who you ask. And this could be from 1 million to 3 million people. But they're not the only ones who depend on the forest. There's 34 million people that depend directly on the forest. Now, these tribes, though, are the ones that depend most on it because they live in the reserves. And most of the fires have not started in the reserves, but are moving really fast into the reserves now.
Right. And so often we hear that when we talk about the Amazon forest, we hear it being described as the lungs of the earth, not only obviously for the rest of the planet, but those tribes. There's also 3 million species of plants and animals. Give us a sense of how much is under threat with the deforestation we're seeing and now these fires.
Well, the issue here is the capacity of the Amazon to be resilient and grow again. So the problem now is that the fires are much larger than in past years, and we're really scared of this tipping point that everybody talks about, because the catastrophe can not only be for the indigenous communities, but everybody else. We have to remember that the nutrients that come down from the Andes into the Amazon feed the oceans and ultimately feed the organisms that create a lot of the oxygen that we breathe. But another really important thing is that the Amazon serves as a carbon sink. So it's like a carbon sponge that has been grabbing all the contaminants that we've been polluting into the air since the Industrial Revolution and keeping them there safe for us. Now with these fires, we're burning them all into the air and creating pollution, not only in the air, but in the water systems. Ultimately, it's going to affect the whole world, but particularly the people that are living there that depend directly on the forest. So the people that depend on the food, the game, the fish, the timber products, the non-timber products, which are completely their livelihoods.
A lot of people might not realise Brazil is now the biggest exporter of beef and soy. Much of it is grown in what used to be the Amazon rainforest. Surely the world can be blamed in part for that demand.
Yes, the demand is something that we all need to work on, but also the production. You can't have a one-sided solution. So we can all do something in terms of the demand in our lifestyles, and also policies that control this. But also the way that it's being produced. The way that it's being produced is completely incompatible with the way the forest works. There's much more technical ways to produce, more efficient ways of farming and cattling in the Amazon. And we have to listen to the indigenous people who are there, because they're the ones who know how to do that. And they've been doing it for hundreds of years. If we want to produce a surplus, we need to have these dialogues between the indigenous ancient knowledge and the new technologies coming up to avoid these burning and slashing of the forest in these large scales. This can be done, and it's been done in other parts of the world.